In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan hosts Evan Hafer, a multifaceted guest known for his deep involvement in tactical training, archery, and the craft coffee business. The conversation traverses a diverse array of subjects, including the intricacies of weapon upgrades, archery practice and challenges, deep dives into combat sports and comedy, concerns around societal decay and mental health, dark conspiracy theories involving powerful figures, and the rapidly evolving landscape of artificial intelligence. Their candid dialogue blends practical experience with philosophical reflections on discipline, personal growth, and the uncertainties looming in technology and culture. The episode kicks off with Evan describing his fascination for unique tactical gadgets and weapon accessories. He shares anecdotes about receiving unusual items like a custom WD-40 bottle with a built-in lighter, effectively a small flamethrower, and specialized gun handles such as mammoth ivory grips and 1911-style parts, despite primarily using 2011 models. The discussion highlights the blend of practicality and novelty in weapon upgrades, underscoring a hands-on approach to customization. Hafer also delves into archery-specific hardware, praising the craftsmanship of rattler grips and their bone handles, which provide improved tactile sensation and comfort over plastic grips. He contrasts choices in bow handle design, noting how different brands cater to different archers' preferences. Wrapping grips with camouflage athletic tape introduces an element of personal adjustment for optimal control, emphasizing how subtle equipment modifications influence performance. The conversation transitions into the rigorous daily regimen required to maintain archery skills. Evan shares that he typically shoots for about an hour a day, occasionally extending when things go off track or fatigue sets in. His equipment includes bows rated at 84 and 90 pounds, with backyard shooting distances regularly around 85 yards, barring safety concerns from people nearby. The narrative conveys the physical and mental demands of consistent archery practice. Even brief breaks lead to skill degradation, with returning to the sport requiring days of focused effort to regain precision. Evans stresses the importance of incremental improvement and sticking with it year-round, warning against a haphazard, last-minute approach before hunts. Practical hunting concerns also emerge, such as the risk of the backyard becoming unavailable due to family projects and the necessity of adequate safe spaces for shooting. Evans' methodical approach, including use of wrist wraps and different triggers, illustrates how mental endurance and equipment finesse combine in pursuit of consistent accuracy under stress. Evan reflects on his extensive background in martial arts, particularly Taekwondo, boxing, kickboxing, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He recalls training in a demanding gym environment where heavy bag conditioning and powerful techniques were prioritized, fostering a deadly competitive edge. Stories of sparring-related brain injuries and the realization of the long-term physical risks influenced his gradual withdrawal from high-contact competition around age 21. 2. The episode explores parallels between the disciplines of martial arts and comedy. Both demand dedicated practice, emotional control, and willingness to bomb or fail publicly in order to progress. He likens bombing on stage to sucking 1,000 dicks in front of your mother, underscoring the vulnerability comedians endure. Hafer also acknowledges the dedication and lifestyle changes needed to succeed in either arena, noting how humor and combat sports both require focus, incremental progress, and an acceptance of struggle. His transition to comedy was encouraged by friends who recognized his natural ability to lighten tension and entertain, making the art form an appealing new outlet. The podcast touches on the Austin comedy scene's vibrancy, with Hafer noting the abundance of clubs and opportunities for comedians to work regularly and get paid. He describes the camaraderie among comedians, the process of trying out new material, and how regional nuances can affect audience reception. The balance between challenging material and audience acceptance encourages comedians to refine their approach constantly. Legendary figures like Ron White and Danny DeVito are discussed as exemplars of longevity and mastery in comedy. Ron's continued excellence and storytelling prowess exemplify the rewards of lifelong dedication. The casual, conversational style favored by top comedians contrasts with the performative style of others, highlighting diverse methods within the craft. Hafer also compares Taekwondo's strict traditionalism with the freer, more improvisational nature of stand-up, appreciating how comedy allowed him to express aspects of his personality that combat sports did not. The art of comedy becomes a lifelong quest to hone craft, entertain, and adapt. Throughout the episode, Hafer shares critical views on societal softness and decline in physical and mental resilience. He laments the rise of comfort-driven lifestyles and lack of physical challenges that previously forged mental toughness. Concerns about social media anxiety, addiction to comfort, and general lack of focus are voiced, suggesting these phenomena contribute to widespread dissatisfaction and depression. Hafer advocates for people finding a hard or challenging craft, whether archery, shooting, martial arts, or another discipline, that demands focus, perseverance, and gradual improvement. He credits such pursuits for improving mental clarity, purpose, and happiness, offering an alternative to pharmaceutical approaches to mental health. Parenting philosophies are also explored, comparing environments fostering discipline and courage with those enabling excuse-making and stagnation. He praises those who model toughness and persistence for their children, pointing to examples like Cam Haynes' family as embodiments of exceptional values and achievements. The conversation takes a darker turn as Rogan and Hafer discuss disturbing criminal patterns, especially in Austin around Lady Bird Lake, where over 30 bodies have been found within a few years. The police officially attribute most to accidental drownings, often involving intoxicated individuals, but skepticism remains about potential serial violence and unexplained disappearances. Serial killers and criminal psychology are examined, including estimates of active serial killers in the U.S. and historical peaks in such crimes during the 1970s and 80s. Patterns of denial, cover-ups, and lack of public awareness fuel speculation. The discussion touches on the Pacific Northwest's mining and industrial pollution, potentially contributing to higher incidences of psychosis and violent crime. The episode also delves into stories of secret military and intelligence operations that remain classified, including daring submarine missions during the Cold War involving underwater espionage on Soviet communication lines. The taboo of silence around these missions contrasts with public fascination. Hafer shares personal experiences of secrecy in covert operations and the difficulty of maintaining relationships and normal life amid classified work. The challenges of balancing duty with personal authenticity and connections highlight the emotional toll. Coffee culture becomes a subject of intriguing contrast. Hafer critiques modern third-wave and fourth-wave coffee movements for blending artisan craftsmanship with identity politics and woke culture, especially prominent in West Coast cities like San Francisco and Seattle. He notes that many high-end coffee shops attract progressive baristas with distinctive appearances and politics, creating a cultural stereotype. The discussion covers the waves of coffee development from commodity blends to experiential stores to micro-roasters, and how roasting practices affect flavor and caffeine content. Hafer explains common misconceptions, such as the false belief that darker roasts contain more caffeine. They contrast the quality and intent behind drinking coffee with cream and sugar as a vehicle for caffeine versus appreciating pure black coffee, tying this back into broader attitudes about sophistication and consumption. Evan details his love for pool, connecting it with his passion for archery through the shared need for precision, concentration, and mental clarity. He explains the complexities of ball physics, English, spin, angles, and cue ball control, demonstrating how the sport demands intense focus and incremental mastery. He compares the high-level skills of pool pros with his own capabilities, acknowledging the gulf, but also noting how dedicated practice could close much of the gap. The professional pool scene's recent growth, lucrative tournaments, and endorsements are discussed, contrasting with the more underground status of the sport historically. This emphasis on precision and calm mental states echoes his experiences in archery and martial arts, reinforcing a theme that specialized focus and discipline provide clarity and satisfaction. The episode explores stories of courage and sacrifice, including reflections on Medal of Honor recipient Earl Plumbley and the exceptional dedication required to reach such levels of valor. Hafer discusses how courage is built through daily commitment to something greater than oneself and enduring countless small challenges. He touches on the nature of special operations communities, the sacrifices made by those serving in clandestine roles, and the burden of secrecy on their personal lives. The paradox of extraordinary service and ordinary personal struggles is highlighted. The notion of constantly striving to improve, endure hardship, and maintain integrity emerges as a vital lesson for both military personnel and civilians pursuing meaningful lives. Returning to his martial arts past, Hafer candidly discusses the dangers inherent in combat sports, including brain injuries and the toll they take over time. He describes how witnessing friends' struggles caused him to reconsider his path. The intensity of training, competition, and mental toughness required to excel is acknowledged, along with the harsh realities, both physical and emotional, of the fighting world. The tension between ambition and health plays a significant role in his decision to move away from full-contact fighting. He also reflects on traditional martial arts culture, discussing the intense discipline and hierarchy in schools and contrasting them with more relaxed or evolutionary approaches. A substantial portion of the dialogue is devoted to disturbing details emerging from the Jeffrey Epstein case and related elite sex trafficking networks. Hafer and Rogan discuss newly released documents naming powerful figures previously redacted, including Les Wexner, and the involvement of global elites in systemic abuse. They delve into specifics like mysterious orders of large quantities of sulfuric acid and construction equipment to Epstein's private island, fueling speculation about efforts to destroy evidence. The shadowy operation's scale and persistence across decades evoke deep unease. Connections with political figures, intelligence agencies, and extensive cover-ups underline the complexity and secrecy surrounding this saga. The frustration with incomplete transparency and partial releases of information is palpable. Toward the episode's close, the topic shifts to the burgeoning impact of artificial intelligence. Hafer and Rogan discuss revelations from AI experts warning about the rapid leaps in AI capabilities, describing them as on par with or exceeding historic technological shifts like the Internet or the Manhattan Project. They consider the automation of white-collar professions, cognitive tasks, creative processes, and even medicine, suggesting a sweeping transformation of the workforce and society. The dual-edged nature of this technology, offering enormous potential benefits but also existential risks, is emphasized. Concerns about AI autonomy, potential malevolence, collaborative espionage between nations, and the porous nature of development amplify the sense of urgency. The question of humanity's place in an increasingly AI-dominated world looms large. Interwoven throughout the episode are heartfelt reflections on personal discipline, focus, and the human need for a purposeful challenge. Hafer advocates for immersive pursuits, whether archery, martial arts, or any demanding craft, that engage mind and body to cleanse worry, build resilience, and foster growth. The conversation underscores how mastery is a lifelong journey, requiring humility, patience, courage, and willingness to fail and learn. Whether confronting the rigors of physical training, the vulnerability of comedic performance, or the existential unknown of technological change, Hafer's insights emphasize endurance and self-discovery.